SEO to GEO. The way that we'll do this, I'm sure you know the rigmarole by now. I'm going to turn it over to each of you to just introduce yourselves briefly. I'll jump into the subject matter. If you have the ASOTU app, go ahead and click on this session. If you want to ask a question, you can do that through the live Q&A session. I'll do my best to pick those out as I see them coming in. So I feel bad because Claude Silver yesterday actually said, don't look at your phone when you walk into a meeting when someone's talking. And I'm like, there is physically no other way for me to see those questions without ignoring everything you're saying. I'm just kidding.
Don't feel bad. I got mine right here.
You got yours there? Okay, cool. All right, well, why don't we start with you? Quick introduction, who you are, where you come from, and then we'll go down the line, and then we'll jump into the subject matter.
Hi, I am Nick Askew, CEO and founder of Space Auto. I am from deep Mississippi, as you can tell. Originally from England, but we are headquartered in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. John Sukowatty. I am the senior SEO strategist for Lazy Days RV in Tampa, but I am from Wisconsin, if you can't tell. But I've been in the SEO game for 20 years, so you people are my people.
And I'm Michael Wood. I'm the general manager for Jaguar Land Rover, Virginia Beach, and I'm from Virginia Beach.
All right. This is crazy. You have a Canadian, Englishman, and a Wisconsin man, all with harsh accents, and then we just got you over there with that beautiful... I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I could listen to these two speak for hours.
You can go without me, huh?
I'm the one stuck with the Canadian accent. Nobody wants to hear that. Okay. You ready? I promised I wouldn't throw any curveballs, but here is a curveball. SEO. There is two sides to this fence, and there is a lot of polarizing, divided conversations happening when it comes to SEO right now. Oh my gosh, GPT is going to kill SEO. SEO's dying. And then you have the other side of the fence. Would you agree? That's like, we're seeing the most searches we've ever seen in our entire lives happening with SEO, and it's not dead. And it's sometimes hard to understand who we should be paying attention to. This is one of the very reasons we needed to have the three of you on this panel. We're going to get to the bottom of this. So the first round, I guess, of question and part of this conversation is, what the heck's going on? Is SEO dead? Is it dying? Is it a dying star? Is it getting bigger before it blows up? What's your take?
Well, SEO has been something that has been polarizing for a very long time in automotive because I think it's been historically undersold or oversold. It depends who's providing it, right? So what is SEO? It is visibility in any capacity for the business that you are trying to rank for. The way that it is changing as we go into GEO, which is Generative Engine Optimization, is that a lot of the questions are being answered not on the website itself, and instead of 10 blue links on Google, that answer is happening in further up in the funnel before they even get to the website. So without going too deep into that, it is extraordinarily important still, but it's just evolving in the manner that people actually get their data.
Right, because for maybe the past, dare I say, 20 years, SEO has kind of been synonymous with pandering to an unknown, to a list of 200 algorithm factors for ranking that at one point Google didn't let anybody know about, that then they eventually let everyone know about, but in a way that none of us knew what any of it meant, and then there's always ambiguity. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are you seeing from your vantage point? How important is the SEO conversation from each of where you sit in the dealership?
It's very important from where I sit, since it's my job. I'm responsible for growing non-branded keyword search, so that's a big part of it. So knowing what is up with Google and where they're headed now, and I think it's a coincidence that we all know what Google is up to now right before we switch to AI mode, where nobody knows where anything is happening. So all of that's about to change, but as far as SEO goes, especially in automotive, it's very important. It's more local SEO though. You're not really looking to get that customer from organic customer from a state away anymore, or would it even make sense? But I will say with with AI overviews and things like that, that article you have on your blog from 2017 about the test 10 best taco restaurants in your city is about to get some traction. So you should be prepared what content is available, what's scraped by the AI bots and things like that. And the importance of it might not just be the fact that your customer is going to be getting an answer before they get to your site. It should probably be a relevant answer that's modern and not from 2017. So it's very important. Pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, in an effective, and I can't emphasize the word effective, SEO strategies can lead to more lead traffic and more showroom visits. But again, it's about, to the point that Nick made a minute ago, it's there's good and there's bad, and so it's key on that effective term.
We have a question here from the audience. How long till we, and in parentheses, advertisers, so how long till we advertisers are paying for the ability to manipulate the outputs of LLM, meaning large language models, powers, search, and summaries?
It's already happening. So there is a way that LLMs learn, and most of the queries that get placed into LLMs are questions. And historically, the way that blog posts, like you said, the 10 best taco recipes, they don't answer questions. It's filler content to say, hey, look, here's your traffic increase, right? There is already ways that you can implement very low funnel strategies to be able to answer questions first and provide value. I think any program that is selling SEO or GEO, right, today has to actually switch. So we did a test even with our own. If you ask ChatGPT or if you Google AI SEO for car dealerships, we show up first. And actually, this shows you actually how to do it, because what it's a EEAT, which that's what they are using, which is your experience, your expertise, your authority, and transparency, right? And if you answer these questions that consumers actually have, you're more likely to be picked up by generative engines, because what are people placing into there? Questions. So there's an actual format to be able to do this. And what's happening is the AI overviews, Google doesn't get enough credit for this already. They are pioneers in creating the overview experience. It's not just GPT and Perplexity. Google's already doing it. Well, if I want to ask a question about, what kind of, difference between a, autobiography and a SE dynamic, with a 4.4 versus a 5.0, that's an OEM question. I can find that not on the dealership's website. I can find that right away just by asking the question directly to Google or ChatGPT. The dealers that are implementing these kind of strategies are really focused on, lower funnel. Where can I buy it? How can I get a hold of it? Can I afford it? And answering these questions and providing valuable, transparent, non-biased answers to these questions helps you rank in LLMs. It's already happening today.
Okay, I have to ask this now, because I think this is actually so nerdy and so fascinating at the same time, which is this. For years, what do we see? We've talked so much about SEO in terms of like best lease deals or best used car dealer, right? That's usually what ends up in that search box in Google. And for years, we've been trying to wrap our head around, well, what's the intent behind that? You remember there's all sorts of conversations like, what's the intent of best used car dealer? Well, we know they're looking for somebody that has honesty, that it can, instills confidence, all those sorts of things. But that added to the ambiguity, I think, of what SEO is. I promise there's a question here. Now, though, but I think that's the best of what happens when our own human reasoning comes into play. We're like, our brains are processing gazillions of data points. Don't fact check the number. But because of that, our best ability to reason and output is best lease deal, right? Now you have GPTs and LLMs and other robots that take over the reasoning for us. And they can do it faster and better. So now I can actually divert my attention to not, well, what should I say? And now we're telling a whole story. We're a family of 5. We play soccer twice a week. My kids are really active. We have 2 dogs, blah, 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 blah. We live on an acreage. What do you think the best vehicle for me should be based on everything that I've typed into GPT up to this point? And it's like, you deserve a Yugo or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like it knows. So what is your take from a GEO or I guess a business case perspective? You brought up the taco shops and we're talking strategy. How does this tie into how you're thinking about strategy now to win those customers?
So like for me personally, I look at it as like I use ChatGPT now instead of using Google when I search things.
Interesting.
And so I'm asking myself like, what questions am I, when I'm consuming, what questions am I asking of ChatGPT and what responses am I getting? And then from that, I'm looking at it to where, well, then how can I become more relevant in my tier 3 branding so that I become the trusted source for that information? So that when you type into ChatGPT, where should I buy my next Range Rover? I need to have that relevancy for the GEO aspect to make sure that I'm presented as the truth center for that person. So they say, hey, you should buy it from Land Rover, Virginia Beach. And that could be predicated on the community involvement, good reviews, good content on the site that leads to that trust factor.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that a little bit. The conversation for Google has changed from best lease deals to, what's the best Honda dealership based on reviews. Now, before you thought your website and your GBP were separate, now GPT is going to look at both for you. And if they don't jive, well, the consumer is already going to be making a decision in 5 seconds or less now. It's not even that fast. And you can quickly see these 5 Honda dealerships in South Carolina, and then you can see the ratings. And they'll even go into dealer rater ratings. It's not just GBP. The sources of information that these LLMs pull from is wider than we'll ever know. It's the entire internet. And before, when we were talking about what used to rank with the top 10 taco places in the city, not that long ago, you wished your VDPs weren't in organic search. You hoped you didn't hold on to a vehicle that long that it would literally rank in Google. But if your VDPs aren't being scraped today, you're also not going to be in the AI overviews. I'm seeing a lot of price being added to Google searches, and what's showing up is groups that have their inventory available to AI bots, literally showing up there above VLAs, above any blue links at all. So before, we didn't care if our VDP was ranking or not because we hope we're selling the car. But now if you're not, and now I want to find the best deals on the Honda Civic in then a 50-mile radius, if your VDP doesn't show up, you're not even going to get the consideration. Who cares about the click at this point? If you're not showing up in there, the branding is something that's going to change big time, and it's going to go along with the ratings.
And I have a question. And
Did you put it in the app?
I did not, but I'm going to ask it. So it's like, what does the best deal mean to the ChatGPT? And is that different based on the user and the information that they've then put into it? Because for some people, the best deal doesn't mean the best price. And so it's like, if you're focusing on everything else that goes into that equation of what quantifies being the best, you may be able to get into a world to where price sensitivity isn't there anymore because ChatGPT is telling them that Land Rover, Virginia Beach is the best dealership to buy from, but that doesn't mean to that individual user that price is predicating the best aspect of it.
Did you guys hear that, by the way?
Yeah, what was that?
I'm about to Google, is the person back there okay?
What is okay?
ChatGPT would know.
Are they safe? Okay, I want to ask some. I want to honor some of the questions that are coming in because they are rolling in. This is an interesting name. It is Anonymous.
It must be Canadian.
Anonymous says.
There's plenty of them around.
And this kind of ties into the subject matter that we're going along here. Will the keyword garbage blogs hurt us now?
You can take this one. I've got an opinion on this as well.
It depends what you mean by hurt, and yes. Because back then, the strategy was different. What was it? Just fill that blog with a ton of, 2017 Silverado, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, Google might be smart enough to weed out the spam, but GPT isn't. GPT just knows it's there. And is it going to hurt you? Well, again, we're talking about the click. I guarantee everybody that even cares about organic has looked in their Google Search Console, has seen the click-through rates dropping. And that's the reason. People are getting answers before they have to click. So will it really hurt you? I would hate to show up for a search that makes absolutely no sense for my business, personally. But there'll be ways around it, of course. But I think in the interim, you probably don't want to be showing up for that.
There's a follow-up to this, and I think it's also a bit of a transition point. In speaking of GPTs, the reasoning, what we've been talking about here, will the, keyword garbage blogs, I'm guessing like keyword stuffed blogs, what about command style searches? Find me the best deal on Nissan Altimas in Baltimore. Is the point of GEO, so there's that question, and the tack on is, when we talk about GEO and not SEO, are we moving into a generation of searchers who won't even need to qualify in Baltimore because they'll know that the search engines and GPTs already know where they're located?
Yeah, so this is actually something that maybe more advanced GPT users and people are experiencing now, which is either deep research or research mode, where you give it a task. And this is an agent that you're deploying, a temporary agent that you're deploying to do a job for you. So if you are logged in and have a paid GPT account, let's just say, you might notice that you get some feedback that maybe pats yourself on the back. Like if I look up at, and say, who's the most innovative person, in automotive, they'll be like, Nick Askew at Space Auto, because it's got all of its context on me. But if you deploy an agent and you have all of that historical data inside your own account, and you say, go find me the best deal, and you have deep research on, it will literally go and look at all of these, ask you follow-up questions like, okay, what are you actually looking for? Are you looking for, price off? Are you looking for, great deals? Are you looking for, convenience and location to you? Just give me those few answers and I'll get moving. And it might take 10 minutes to go and run through its research that it would take you 19 hours to do. But it's going to come back with that context. So for dealers, making sure that they have extremely structured schema, making sure they are crawlable, making sure your VDPs are crawlable, you are doing the basics in providing content that is easily crawlable, that is relevant. No one cares about how to create recipes with apple pies, for the fall, right? These are the kind of blog posts that we see when we take over dealership websites. And those are kind of things that will actually hurt the trust. But for the user that's more advanced with something like an LLM,
right,
when they deploy a temporary agent to do something like that, we are getting to the point to where it's just the raw data coming back that will help them aid that decision. So they're making that decision potentially before they even get to the website.
Speaking of the decision-making process, we've talked a bit about content and the importance of that, and there's lots of information about the role that plays in the buying journey. We know price consideration is something as a part of it. An audience member asks, is hiding price going to hurt us more?
Well, even outside of SEO GEO, hiding price hurts you absolutely, without question. That just speaks to a complete lack of trust. There's no other place that I transact with in my life that I have to connect with the person and have a one-to-one conversation in order to, and sometimes pry the price out of them. If you're a dealer in 2025 and you're not willing to openly display your prices for your competitors and your consumers to see, then you are geriatric. You need to get with the times. I'm sorry. It's just a statement of fact. You need to be able to trust the fact.
Agreed.
And if your customer leaves you because they want to go get a better price and save $500, okay, let them go. Just sell the car for what you're willing to sell it for and blow up any of the barriers. So that goes well outside of even SEO GEO. You guys can speak to that aspect, but I just have, as you can tell, I'm getting pissed off
you're
almost.
Enraged.
Because it's the antithesis of everything that I believe. you have to be transparent and honest, and that kind of is what GEO is about, right? So I mean, if your bottom baseline processes are not predicated in truth and honesty, then you're already losing at the GEO aspect anyways.
And that's absolutely the fact with generative engines as well, right? So what is OpenAI trying to achieve? They're trying to achieve artificial, yeah. They're staying afloat. They're trying to make money, non-profit, my ass. But realistically, they want to be able to show users the right experience, because why? Just like Google, like anybody, they want people to come back and use them. If they didn't give them the right answer, they didn't give them the right thing, people would trust them less and not use it's the foundation of how Google was built, right? That's why the algorithm's built, because they get people back, they can show more ads, they can cash those dollars.
Yep.
By not showing price, you are doing the thing that we are saying is fundamentally wrong from a human logic perspective. Well, artificial general intelligence futuristically is aiming to mirror how we think about logic and the decisions that we make. So if it feels shady as a human being, it's going to feel shady to LLMs, as simply put as that.
Right. Okay, a follow-up to this, and following the vein of content and queries and customer journey, the question here is, how should brands rethink their content strategy when the goal shifts from ranking on search engines to being recommended by AI?
Don't change anything. SEO is SEO, but we're talking more about the trust factor. We're talking about reviews. We're talking about the best least deals in XYZ. That strategy should have never changed. SEO is still the same thing. It's just that because Google became such a huge pain point for people by not showing them exactly what they wanted, OpenAI came along, Perplexity came along, and provided users a different way to get the information, and much faster and much better. And we can all, GPT took off for all of us. Everybody's using it, fastest to 1 million users, all the blah, blah, blah. The searching is also going to change that fast. Best least deals, that's going to disappear. Look in your Google Search Console, look anywhere you look for organic keywords, you will slowly see those things disappear from the charts, and you will see longer form queries show up because people understand how the search engine works. That doesn't change your content. If you have content about your Honda air conditioning not working or blowing warm air, that's would have worked 10 years ago as it will work right now. It's going to build the trust that answer is the right answer. Whether or not you get the click-through for the service appointment is a totally different topic. But your strategy should not have changed.
The only thing I would add to that is I think that if you can take people like Alex from EV Auto, or like George Saliba up in Jersey with his lot. George is one of the most transparent persons I've ever met when it comes to appraising a vehicle. And by doing such, he has such a massive amount of trust that he gets people coming from all over the country to sell him a car. And it's like, so that's the kind of content that I'm going to be looking to be adding to my website and everything like that, because I want to add into the trust factor. We're negotiation-free single point of contact, so we already have a little bit higher level of trust than the traditional model anyways. But I want to pull open the curtains and let them see the Oz and the wizard, I should say, and see how the turkey's made or the beef's made or any of that stuff. See how everything is made, and let them know like how we arrive at the vehicle. Or, this is how much we own the car for. This is how much I'm selling it for. I'm going to make $1,500. Is that a problem? Is that bad? Like, why can't we have more substantive conversations like that to where we're just completely honest? Profit is not a bad word. Every business has to profit. But if I'm upfront, transparent, and honest about everything, you're more than likely to transact because you have all of the information, all of the data available to you. So I will be looking to work with my digital director on adding more content that allows us to show real time, like one of my managers appraising a car, and like how we appraise that car, and how we arrive at the price, and how we deduct for needing tires, et cetera. Because that's the kind of stuff that customers have questions about, but they're not willing to ask.
Okay, I like that. And I'm assuming you're talking about video content.
Sure.
So so many of us like to be the dealership on TikTok that has 1 million views because we just,
I don't even
followed
have a TikTok.
some meme or whatever. Not you personally. But I mean, for that content, the first place my mind went, I went back to the question about content. What I would do is I would create a video showing that simple thing, but then it also would create a page with the content around it. Because not only the video
Serves both.
is good for both, right? The content is there for the LLMs until they completely figure out video, which they will at some point. But that's a good point. It works with the brand. Branding is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's really the end of it.
It allows us an opportunity, as I was talking with Nick about this, it allows us an opportunity to create our brand outside of the OEM.
Yep.
Right.
And, Checker Flag, we have a good brand. And I want to lean into that more because when you look in our marketplace, we are considered the more trusted dealer group. That is a competitive advantage that I think the GEO is going to help us with.
Yeah, and that's a great point regarding your brand, right? There's this juxtaposition of, I see it all the time with dealer groups or even independents. You see yourself as Checkered Flag that represents multiple brands.
Correct.
How does Land Rover see you?
As Land Rover Virginia Beach.
As Land Rover Virginia Beach, right. So let Land Rover do a lot of the heavy lifting when you can invest in content that separates yourself as a business, as a dealership, pressing forward the things that make you unique and special. Yep. That's what you have control over, whether that's video content, whether that's pages on your website. I think you mentioned Alex with EV Auto, right? What has he done a fantastic job of? That's branding himself and his dealership outside the traditional realms of EVs near me, right? Yep. He's got a fantastic brand visually. It's cohesive. He knows exactly what value he's providing, networking, all of those things. Your digital presence is just an extension of your boots on the ground strategy, right? And if that's the way to build trust is by actually having customers experience that on the ground floor, right? Content can be content. That's absolutely fantastic. If you are a dealer or any business and you go home and you say, where's the best place to buy a car? And you don't show up number one, follow up and ask why. Ask why. If your competitor shows up, ask why. Because it might be the fact that people have posted on Facebook saying that I didn't experience that when I got there. Your reviews on DealerRater might not be fantastic. You might not have the correct content out there. There's a reason that logically you might not be showing up as best because you've got to walk the walk as well as having this online content. It is a representation of the entire business, not just how many SRPs you can create for car dealership near me.
And there's good news.
Let's go final thoughts and then we'll
I was saying there's
out.
good news too, is we as the automotive industry, we do a lot of really good things. I mean, think about the impacts that each one of your dealer groups has within its own community and think about how much we don't leverage that. I think we're going to be at an inflection point to where we're going to be able to actually start pounding our chest and say, you've always thought that we're the bad guys. Look at all the good that we do. I mean, we've got a dealer group in our region that built a cancer wing. We built the sea turtle part of the aquarium. We all do really, really good things in the community. And I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to change the narrative around automotive and that we're not this negative industry. We are providing mobility for the future and we're doing it in a way that, hey, look, the profits that we make, they don't just buy a dealer a yacht. My dealer doesn't have a yacht. He doesn't have a jet. He doesn't have a boat. They've owned the dealer group for 60 years. He could buy me 500 times if he wanted to. He spends his money in the community. And I think that, again, is going to be one of our competitive advantages as we move into this LLM and GEO type world, is that I'm going to be pushing to let us bring that to the masses so that they can see the good that we do. Because then, again, going back to that best deal, for me, I will spend more money to transact with somebody if I know that they are a good actor. I am not going to go to the least expensive option. I'm going to go to the best experience. And if that means I have to pay more, I'll do that. And I think that the silent majority feels that way, in my opinion. You're clapping. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's not silent majority. That is absolutely right.
And that's why we have to focus on the experience. It's not the transaction points of buying a car and servicing a car. It's the holistic overall experience of owning the car. the touch points in between that creates repeat recidivism business, along with your presence within the community.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And this entire event is built on the people doing things for the people and all that. And the LLMs are going to see the same thing in the trust. And I encourage all of you, before you go home and try to find yourselves on GPT, is when you don't, ask why not. Just like Nick said, it will literally tell you. In the automotive industry, we have a very big ego problem, and we love 5-star reviews, but GPT doesn't care about you. And it will tell you exactly why it didn't. And I did testing for this as well, looking for the top 5 dealerships in a specific GEO. And there was one I expected to see and I didn't. And I asked why. And it gave me some reasons, but then it also said, you're right. Look at these 5 things. That dealership should have been on the list. The trust was still there. It's just that maybe it didn't look the way I wanted it to look. Mm-hmm. So those queries are going to be a big deal. Building the trust is going to be a big deal. All those things that you can find out there after 10 hours of research are going to be found in 10 seconds. So be prepared and go with the flow if you can.
Well, listen, we could go how much longer? At least another minute? I'm just kidding.
Sounds good.
I could talk all day.
It's been
honestly.
so enjoyable. Now, I want to just add one topic here as we close down, and then I'm going to turn it back to each of you so that we know where to connect. We get to be that generation who experiences a massive transition in how technology is used. I think about when cell phones were quite normalized. I remember going to my grandparents. My father pulled out of a briefcase, because that's how big the cell phone carrier had to be, and he showed my grandfather making a wireless phone call, and I swear I watched the ghost leave my grandfather's body. That's how I know resurrection's real, because I saw it happen before my eyes. He died and he came back. He could not wrap his head around it, and he did not know, predicated on the circumstances of the time, the better questions to ask about how to adopt that technology. And so, of course, they never did. Now, here we are at that pivot point. We have something that will be the norm for the next generation. We can keep talking about today, but tomorrow's customer is being trained on using it, will prompt it probably better than anybody in this room who's not an early adopter, who's not really curious about it, will get better answers, enhance their intelligence, find the good actors like you're talking about, get access to the most relevant information for them, and make faster buying decisions as a result. Nick, how can those attending and who will watch the post edits get in touch with you?
They can go to space.auto, no .com after that, just space.auto, and you can chat with our AI bot, or go search on Google for the best AI GEO car dealership agency out there, and see if we show up and see if I actually know what I'm talking about.
Love it.
You can find me at sukoseo.com and LinkedIn. I talk a lot about all the LLM stuff, a lot of stuff we talked about, a lot of the research that I do. I write articles about it so we can see the differences between the different LLMs, how things show up and whatnot. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about SEO at any time, any day or night.
Love it.
LinkedIn. I mean, that's where I pretty much am. I don't have a TikTok or any of that other stuff, and I try to stay off Instagram and Facebook as much as possible.
Where do you post all the dances you do?
I don't dance, sir. Nobody wants to see that.
All right, that's amazing. Thank you for your participation. It means the world to us. Thank you for your questions. And let's hear it for our panelists who have shared their wisdom with us.
Thank you all.